Hi, this is Danny from Mob Rules. Alaska's hit a record high today, so I'll be doing the Chaos Codex Chaos Knights review from inside my freezer. So let's talk about some Chaos Knights. Welcome to another edition of Danny's Hot Takes, a Codex review of the new Chaos Knights Codex. Oh man.
I'm so glad it's not Renegade Knights.
No, it's just chaos. Legit Chaos Knights.
Because I feel like 2019 has been the year of chaos.
Sure.
So many good things. And every time the Imperium starts to get it back ahead a little bit, they're like, oh, enjoy this next thing for chaos.
I know, yeah, right? Well, that's good, because, you know, the Imperium sucks. So, I'm just excited that we're doing 2 reviews in as many weeks. That's awesome.
Oh,
we're getting some more 40K releases.
So excited.
Dude. And this book doesn't disappoint. I'm pretty excited about this book.
The only thing, the book is thin.
Yeah, I would say it's about the same size as the Custodes book, maybe?
Or even the regular Imperial Knights book.
No, the regular Imperial Knights book is fat. I don't know.
All right.
Yeah. But... yeah, this kind of contains some of the first like real fluff written about Chaos Knights, which is really cool.
Yeah, because in the past it was just a downloadable. Here you go, you whiners.
Right, or an index entry that was sold in the Chaos Index. So yeah, let's talk about some Chaos Knights. So this book has again, like the artwork in this book is so cool. I love this particular piece of art. They have it in color a little bit later on, but it shows. A Knight Rampager kind of like sitting above like a totally destroyed Chaos Knight he's got a Chaos Marine in between his feet, and he's got these Renegade Guardsmen or cultists like kind of climbing all over the carapace of the Knight, and they're like prying it open in the bottom, like trying to get to the guy inside. Super cool.
Oh, so nice.
So we're gonna kind of briefly go over some of the fluff, and then we'll get into the rules of the book.
Sounds good.
Where we'll get the meat of our review here. So again, here's that in full color. Man, so cool. And the Knights look so evil.
Dude, they do.
Which is great. They should. So it kind of goes over like what exactly a Chaos Knight house is, or how Chaos Knights exists. Because not only do they have like their own houses, kind of like the Imperial Knights, but they also have their own free blades in the form of the Dread Blades, which are just evil free blades.
Oh, dude, I could see how free blades happen. When Renegade Knights came out, that was what I pictured in my head was like Pilot X goes on a mission with his free blade and to avenge his whatever.
Sure.
And falls to chaos. Comes out all spiky, maybe with some tentacles.
Man, that's
maybe
what
a couple
happens
dildos
sometimes.
for the steering wheel. You know, whatever it is that he's got, depending on which god he fell for. So
sure. Well, and then the Throne Mechanicum itself, right? Like is inhabited by the spirits of his ancestors, more or less, like the other pilots that have used the Knight before and their impressions. And so, like the new pilot. Like, they're telling him, hey, do good. And he's like, but chaos. And they're like, no, dude, chaos is dumb.
Or how often do you think that you had one or two that was, like, slightly on the verge, so you just get a couple of those that are, like, whispering in your ear the wrong way? Do good. But, you know, if you decide to slaughter that city,
sure, no big deal, man. Right. So it totally drives a lot of these guys insane. So it kind of has some going over, like, you know, Knight houses during the Heresy, and then kind of goes, like, how they fell and what an iconoclast house is compared to an infernal house, and these kind of mirror the Imperial houses versus the Mechanicum houses.
I do like that they put that in there. You know, they could have just said, "Hey, it's all evil stuff." There you go.
Right. Yeah. Make your own story or whatever.
But somebody got to sit down and ruin Duncan's day. Really, that's what happened.
Man, that video is so great.
Do you think he walked into the office not telling him what he was working on, and he was just like, "Hey, Duncan, I got a question for you. I know Renegade Knights don't exist, but if they were to exist, would they still have 2 houses like Imperial Knights? Like, oh, I bet it would be infernal if they did."
I kind of thought they were maybe like, man, what would piss you off more?
They were just judging. They just kept a camera on him every time they started saying words.
Right.
Whichever triggered the hardest on the scale, he would just go. That's what they would use.
And one of the cool things in here, kind of like the normal Knights book, is they do go through some of like what the heraldry is, and they basically say in here, heraldry doesn't matter. Chaos Knights do whatever they want,
right?
For the most part. But it does go through some of the more like famous or notable iconoclast houses. Like the House Lucaris look really awesome, and they kind of originally served Horus and swore fealty to him over the Emperor. They never actually. So anyway, so after Horus died, they hunted down the Black Legion after they forsook Horus. So. And then they started fighting for Abaddon, so who knows what's going on there. But their color scheme is really cool.
Do air quotes, hunted down.
Yeah, right.
We'll avenge you. Hee hee.
And they've got House Herpetrax, which is cool.
I hear you can get a shot for that.
Yeah, you can, actually.
Yeah.
It's mostly just penicillin. House Chimerae, which are also rad. Man, some of these houses have some really cool notable history. And then they have some infernal houses. These guys look like they have the same color scheme as the Purge, which I thought was interesting.
It'll probably go well with the Purge.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, so they have...
These guys look like they're straight out of the realm of Khorne, actually.
Yeah, pretty much, right? They kind of like...
Common Knights.
And then they go through some famous Dreadblades as well. One thing that I did find interesting is they didn't chaos up like the picture of like some of the knights. Like some of the ones that are renegades, for instance, like any picture they have of the Dominus class or the Tyrant class in this book is what they're referred to. They only have like Chaos paint jobs. They don't necessarily have like any spikes or extra conversion bits or anything like that, which is fine because that's how the kit is. Well, and they kind of want to represent that, I can tell.
I also think that the Dominus class hasn't been around that long. They came, they announced and released them fairly recently, didn't he? Really? Haven't they always not existed?
I think they're just rarer than the other ones.
Okay, well, they're a new kit in the sense that they have been out only since the Night books.
Absolutely
for a year.
True. Yes.
So M1441 to M1442 is how long they existed.
Yeah, more or less in like the actual in the actual storyline, right?
Right.
I did like this guy here. The Hatred of Crastalin is a fallen Hawkshroud knight.
It's not possible. Hawkshroud's the most noble. Would never fall.
So they had like a special title for him, right? Where he would go and hunt down all the people that betrayed the bonds that they make with other people. Because they're like famous for making bonds with like Space Marine chapters and that kind of stuff. If anybody ever broke the bond, they had like their own separate executioner guy who would go in and wreck house. He
would hunt down the renegade knight that... I mean, it doesn't even have to be a renegade knight. It could just be a knight that didn't complete his bond.
No, not a knight.
Not a knight. Oh!
That betrayed the house. So like it would be like... If they had White Scar's allies or something like that, and the allies abandoned them, this guy would go hunt down the allies on the covert and wreck them and mess them up.
So I don't believe that White Scars. I could see Dark Angels abandoning.
Well, I'm just giving you an example, yeah. But anyway, that turns out to be real. That turned out to be kind of an evil thing to do. So he became a Chaos Knight. And so then it kind of goes over some of the where some of these fallen knight houses are. It goes over where fallen Forge worlds exist. That kind of stuff. But a lot of these guys came right out of the Cicatrix Maledictum to plague the Imperium of Man after it opened up. So it does go through some timeline stuff here and some various different events. I'm not going to go over all these, obviously, because that would be exhaustive.
Yeah.
I did like a couple of them. I really liked this little false idol story. So there was this Dreadblade, and he had been campaigning against like an Imperial world for a long time. And basically, his entire carapace was covered in flayed skins of his enemies.
That sounds exactly like something you would like, actually.
Well, let me finish. So
okay,
because it's like triple things that I would like, right? Oh. So he got a cult that was worshiping him. When all of a sudden, flayed ones burst into appearance around him and slaughtered all the cult and wore their skin, and they started worshiping him as well, because he was like a giant flayed one.
So honestly, it's like they read your fan fiction and threw in a little blurb.
Dave, I told you not to talk about that in front of other people.
That sounded Night Lords. Evil Knights and also Necrons in one
Oh
fell
my
swoop
god!
right there.
It's a dream
Come
come
on.
true, Dave. It's a dream come true. So yeah, definitely read some of these. There's some rad little stories like that.
Coming soon
for
to
the
an
Knights.
LVO near you.
Yeah.
Disney's new Blade One Night.
Oh man, I could totally make that. It does go over the two new Knight chassis, which is the Knight's Desecrator and the Knight's Rampager. Or the Knight Rampager or the Knight Desecrator, I should say, not Knights. But it does talk about them as their Knights because there's multiple of them. Because it's a new class.
Yes and no. It's a new class, but
Sure.
it's a renaming of the class to more fit, isn't it? Is it not? Isn't the
These all
Desecrator
have their own special rules up and above, over and beyond just a change of armaments for the other Knights.
Okay.
So we'll be going over the rules in just a moment here. But it kind of goes over some of their details. I like the Knight Rampagers get so crazy, they have to put them in like cradles, which are effectively straitjackets. And so they basically like, they put them in kind of a drop pod in a straitjacket and launch it right at the world. And then as soon as they come undone, they start like rampaging around. But otherwise, they can't control them otherwise.
So they're like Animal.
Yeah.
From the
Yeah,
Muppets.
there you go. That's a
Nice.
good way to look at it.
Nice.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna start calling them Night Animal.
Night animals. And then it goes over the other corrupted classic knights. The Knights Despoiler are the common like knight class that you would see anywhere.
Like a
Except
Gallant or
right, exactly. And so they have rules that change based on what armament they have a little bit, and they can do all of the same armaments that they could before. So, and it kind of talks about like how they're non-standard from the Imperial Knights and how they kind of do whatever their house or Forge or Dark Mechanicum Forge World tells them what to do. And they talk about the Knight Tyrants, which are the Knight Dominuses in this, and then they renamed Armigers into War Dogs, which is such a rad name.
such a better name than Armigers.
And then they talk about the Idolaters, and the Idolaters are effectively the sacristans that that the Mechanicum trains to like fix and upkeep the knights.
So like similar to servitors for Space Marine vehicles.
No, they're like tech priests, but they're not beholden to the Mechanicum. They're beholden to the Knight House.
Okay.
So, and in this case, they're Dark Mechanicum that are bound to a particular Knight House. But they're probably not as good as the Mechanicum, just like the Sacristans are, so they still have to, like, count on the Mechanicum to do stuff. So they have some nice pictures of the studio models, which are freaking gorgeous.
I want the War Dog kit.
Oh, man. So cool. This face mask is, like, so much my favorite.
The only thing I don't like about these new kits is literally just the chains on the top, because they look fixed. You know what I mean? Because if you look at this knight here, you can see this and this are the same on both knights, and then this is just reversed.
Sure.
So I kind of wish it had a little bit more freedom in the way the chains were, but that shield with the skulls, the banner. I have been reading up a lot about the new kits in the way that they're actually completely redesigned kits. Like those leg armors look way thicker than they do on regular Imperial Knights.
Sure. Well, and they have the backward jointed legs, which look way cooler.
Yeah, and the legs like that, and then you've got like on the actual guns and whatnot, you can actually see pitting and destructive little bits on the actual chassis, from what I understand.
Awesome.
So
that's great.
Yeah,
I'm super excited to get a couple of these and build them up.
I'm super excited for you to get a couple of those and build them up as well, and and crush my soul with them.
Don't worry, Dave. I got your back.
Yeah.
And so you can see here they took what effectively is a Knight Castellan and chaosed it up, which looks great. They did a good job of weathering it, making it seem
just a little bit was all it needed.
Yeah, sure.
I
agree. And it's got a chaos icon here and some spiky bits on the top that they've converted onto it, which is cool.
I believe you mean bits of spike.
Oh, sure, yeah. I don't want to infringe on anybody's copyrights.
Just cost us all of our money right here.
Stupid copyrights. All right, so... yeah.
So that's that noble Hawkshroud Knight.
Yeah,
right?
totally. And look,
you can just skip to the next page.
It shows the corruptions of chaos has warped the House Hawkshroud iconography that once adorned the hatred of Castellan. So friggin' awesome.
I bet those are these are gonna have some sick decals. You're gonna see everybody slapping on older vehicles.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. That's really cool. This guy's like covered in runes.
Dude, the new faceplates are everything that I've always wanted in a knight faceplate for regular Imperial Knights.
You mean they look evil? I don't understand.
Well, I mean, like this is why can't a good knight have like a terrifying visage? You know what I mean? Well, how come it's got to be all
noble?
fancy? Yeah, all noble looking.
I don't know, Dave.
Maybe I do want to play Renegade Knights.
All right, so that moves us on right into the Dreaded Host. And so this kind of starts the rules section of our review. So let's talk about keywords. So every knight has the Questor Traitoris keyword, and so you can switch that out for either Infernal Household or Iconoclast Household. In addition to that, you can choose to make your knights Dreadblades. And so the Dreadblade has its own special rules, which we'll get to at the end, but it doesn't change the fact that the knight is still an Iconoclast or an Infernal Knight. So, which is really cool because because those both give you some special rules if all the knights in your detachment have the same keyword in that respect.
Now, is there still the same thing included that you can't be a super heavy auxiliary to benefit from your house stuff like there is for regular Imperial Knights? Like you have to be a super heavy detachment?
So we'll get to the detachment rules after we go over this section because that's a little bit further on in the book.
Okay.
But surprisingly, no. So we'll see how that works out.
Oh!
So the first entry is, of course...
Freaking chaos bias.
Yeah, right. Is, of course, the War Dog. And so the War Dog being the Armiger, same exact statistics, can't change to have any different special rules or different armaments that he normally would have. So he's just going to have either the autocannons, like the Helverin, or the Thermal Spear and the Reaper Chain Cleaver. So those are unchanged, which is still fine because they're really cool.
Yeah.
And still make a good addition and can help to get you some free command points. You've got the Knight Despoiler, which is a standard chassis, and this continues to have the option to take two of the same ranged weapon, which is different than the Imperial Knight. So it can take...
I kind of like that.
Yeah, no, it's cool. So you can take... I really like the double melting idea. Like the idea of having the double thermal cannon seems really cool, or... and of course the double Avenger Gatling cannon is ever the popular choice because that's a lot of high strength, multiple damage shots.
Yeah, it is.
And it also has a special rule which they had before called Engine of Destruction, which means if you have exactly one Reaper Chainsword and one Thunderstrike Gauntlet, you get +1 to your attacks value and you get +1 weapon skill to put them on par with the Gallant. That already pre-exists.
So if you replicate the Gallant but evil, you get +1 weapon skill?
And +1 attack.
Just like the Gallant, or...
Yep.
Okay.
Just like the Gallant.
That's really cool.
Yep.
I think that's better than it was, actually, for them by a lot.
They had that rule before.
Okay.
But I think it was added in like an FAQ update or the data slates that they came out with after the Knights book came out.
Gotcha.
And then you have the Knight Tyrant, which either replicates the Knight Valiant or the Knight Castellan. So same weapons. And we can talk about some of the combinations of those weapons, along with some new abilities that you can combo them up with in order to make them extremely deadly. Alright, so here's the two new knights that we have. We have the Knight Desecrator and the Knight Rampager. So the Knight Desecrator fulfills a very similar role to the Imperium's only Knight Preceptor.
Right, like Hector Rex.
Yeah, sure. Except Hector Rex doesn't get the same benefits that this guy does, or the Knight Preceptor. The Knight Preceptor has a rule that allows you, called Taskmaster, which lets you reroll to hit rolls of 1 made by friendly Questor Traitoris War Dogs units within 6 inches of him.
Oh, so the Desecrator, not the Preceptor. The Preceptor's the good guy.
Yeah, the Preceptor has the same rule, but for Armigers.
For Armigers.
Right.
Okay.
And so his different... So he can either have the Reaper Chainsword or the Thunderstrike Gauntlet, which are still great. And then he has the Laser Destructor, which is a 60-inch range, which is really nice. And then it's heavy D3, strength 14, -4, D6 damage. And if you roll a 6+ to wound, it does an extra D3 mortal wounds in addition.
We got shifted just a little bit there, it looks like, Danny.
Okay.
I'm going
Yeah, no problem.
to slide that way just a tad.
Cool.
There we go.
No problem. All right, yep. So
I couldn't see this fancy artwork.
Oh, yeah.
I was really enjoying it.
He's got a rad head. And then you have the Knight Rampager, which only costs, and we'll go over costs, but he costs a little bit more than a Knight Gallant equivalent.
Okay.
And he has the same basic statistics, so same number of attacks, same weapon skill chart, with the addition of a special rule called Frenzied Rampage, which means on an unmodified 6 to hit with either his Thunderstrike Gauntlet or his Chainsword, he gets an extra attack of that type. Which is pretty cool.
Well, okay, so that makes... I mean, if they said it was on the Chainsword itself and not the Thunderstrike, that would make complete sense, because, most times Chainswords tend to have an extra rule that allows you to get an extra attack with them. And sure, it's just a big Chainsword with an awesome little hook at the end. But, having an extra fancy rule like that is actually really kind of cool. I like it.
It's pretty neat, and it's good if you're using either the Relic Reaper Chainsword or the Relic Fist as well, because it'll apply to those. It'll apply to those as well. So he'll get the extra attack on 6 pluses to hit with it, or a natural roll of a 6. So even if you have -1, he can still proc the extra attack with his weapon.
Oh,
which is nice.
Very orky.
Yeah, totally. All right, and then we have and that concludes all of the entries. This book has 5 data slates. That's it. But the night book doesn't have too many more than that.
Yeah.
So we've got a nice full-page artwork of them going to town on some Night Raven or House Raven Knights. Probably gonna kick their butts.
Well, they were sadly outnumbered, so yes, probably were.
Well, yeah. Well,
also, the Ravens suck, so it's fine.
So these guys have the same rule as other Night Houses do, where if you include, to get the full bonus of a super heavy detachment, or the +3 command points that you get for having that, you have to include at least one, include one Titanic Knight. One
full size and 2
Right, and it could be 2 minis. Or if you have 3 full size, you get +6 command points instead. And then you have the Traitorous ambitions. So if all your models are either Iconoclast or Infernal, that's how you can get the benefits that are listed on this side for the household ambitions for Infernal and Iconoclast. And it doesn't say anything about being an auxiliary detachment, even like a super heavy auxiliary detachment or anything like that. So it doesn't matter how you take the Knight, they're still going to get these benefits, which is really cool.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the Iconoclast Household Ambition, and they did go over this a little bit on the GW website, but basically, if you charge, are charged, or heroically intervene, you get +1 attack and -1 AP on all your close combat weapons.
Yeah,
which is really cool.
Really nice.
Yep. That being said, Infernal is probably a little bit better, and they have a little chart that you can use. Excuse me.
Which was also previewed on GW, but I want to just go over it because I like it a lot.
So you can either take a wound to roll on the chart and get a benefit for your knight, or you can take D3 mortal wounds,
which will be 3 for me and 1 for everybody else.
Probably, yeah. And then get to pick the result. So the results are +2 to your model's move, and 1 to advance and charge rolls for that turn. 1, you can add 1 to the toughness, or you can pick a shooting weapon and get 1 to the strength and 1 to the damage characteristic, which is really cool.
That's so.
In fact, all 3 of those are great in different circumstances.
Yeah, because it lasts until your next movement phase,
right?
And you can trigger it a second time if you want.
If you want to keep taking damage, yes.
Well,
sometimes you got to go all out, man. I mean, spend those HP.
If I got a guy charging across the battlefield, right? And
sure.
With close combat, he's just getting in there. I want him to get in there as fast as possible. And once he gets in there, I just want him to just mow people down.
Sure. So, and you know what? At first glance, right? Like, you would say, oh, well, duh, Infernal is better. But Iconoclast has some really great relics, specifically, and really great stratagems that make them pretty even. So they did a really good job of balancing here. I can't decide which one I like more, to be honest.
Well, I'm telling you, they just walked into Duncan's office and just started saying, which would anger you more? Charging and heroically intervening, getting +1 attack and +1 strength on an enemy knight, or the opportunity to go up in strength, add 1 damage, 1 toughness, or move faster. Which would anger you more? He was just like, oh, it would anger me evenly.
Accurate. So the Knight Stratagems, basically the first 2 pages of Knight Stratagems are almost direct copies from the Knight's book with a few different names. So they've got Ion Aegis, just like Imperial Knights, along with Rotate Ion Shields. You have Spiteful Demise, which is the blow up on a 4+. You have Thunderstomp. You have Sky Reaper Protocols for your Armigers or War Dogs in this case. You've got the corrupted heirlooms, which is how you get
more
extra relics.
Yeah, extra relics.
And gives your knights character still. And then Tyrannical Court is the same as the Baronial Court, so they can get the Warlord traits. Although, with this book, we'll talk about Warlord traits. Warlord traits are not super great, but that's okay. There's still some good choices there. You've got Pack Dogs, which is the same. Lets you reroll charges for your War Dog units. Chain Sweep, which is the same. Death Grip is the same. Demonic Guidance System, which is the same as the Oathbreaker Guidance System on the rockets for the Tyrant class.
I think it should be better, because Demonic's probably just...
So...
I think it should be more random. You know, like...
The fluff behind this is they actually teleport the missiles through the warp. So it's like, oh, missile in your face, boom, dead. Which is rad. And then you've got Full Tilt, allows you to advance and charge. You've got Devastating Reach, which is the like the chainsword sweep. So they get to attack guys in buildings if they're not on the first level. And then nice. You have the two that are new on this one are Titanic Duel, as far as I can tell. This is the new one. So basically, if you're fighting another Titanic unit, each of you guys holds a dice with a number, or writes down a number on a piece of paper and then reveal it simultaneously. If your numbers are different, then you get to add that number of attacks to your model's profile. So, like, you kind of have to bid this one, right? Oh. So, like, are you both gonna, like, you would say, oh yeah, I'm totally going to write down a 3. Well, your opponent's probably going to write down 3 too. So, like, you need to figure out, and then if you do that, if you go, okay, well, if they're going to write down 3 and I write down 2, I'll get the bonus attacks, but then they also get +3 attacks, which is like, oh. So kind of a cool little like dual thing there. I thought that was kind of fun. I don't know how great that is. It's just kind of a little fun mechanic, I would say.
Yeah. Probably not see it used very often.
Sure.
Unless you're playing with your buddy.
Sure. Or you have your opponent in your pocket, and then you can kind of just like figure out what they're going to pick, and then get a good bonus on that.
Oh, thought you were saying you had him in the pocket, like it was a tiny opponent. What are you picking? Let me out.
Only if you pick a 1. All right, so Trail of Destruction, which was one of the stratagems that they got in the index. They've revamped this a little bit, and they've added some different words to it. Basically, what they've done is they've made it so that you reroll to hit rolls, not fail to hit rolls, to hit rolls. So it gives you rerolls in case you have a negative modifier to hit. So you can reroll all the ones that would miss. So that's a pretty good buff to this particular one, and it's already a really great strategy.
Yeah, it's extra good now.
So
that's extra spicy.
Yeah, it's really good. So that's super powerful, will be used quite a bit for 2 CP. It's very good.
Yeah, it is.
So the other ones that they have here, and these ones are going to be the specific ones to the Iconoclast houses and the Infernal houses. So Break the Enemy Line is almost exactly the same as Trail of Destruction for close combat attacks, but you pick an enemy unit, and all of your knights get to reroll to hit rolls in combat against that unit. So if you want to like stomp out like a screen of like Plague Bearers or something like that in one round of combat with like a couple of Rampagers, like you're gonna do it no problem with this.
That's pretty good.
Which is pretty cool. And then you've got. And it also is, and it's just, again, this is reroll to hit roll, not reroll fail to hit rolls. So if you are fighting Plague Bearers, for instance, that are -2 to hit, getting to like get 15, or in the case of a Iconoclast Rampager, they get 18 attacks. Pretty nasty. And then they have 3 different vows that you can choose from, and these are really cool, like thematic and like fun, and these basically give you kind of a relic or a warlord trait that you get to use for that night for the entire for the entire game.
Oh, for the entire game. Oh,
so you only get to pick 1 knight for each of these, but that knight gets these benefits for the whole game. So Vow of Carnage, they did preview this again on GW, but it's really good. You keep a tally of how many models it kills. For every 10 models it kills, it gets +1 attack permanently. So, like, if you're playing against orcs,
so much,
man, that is going to be a great one. Like, you charge in with your Knight Gallant or
the
Rampager. Sure, or just the Knight Despoiler with the 2 close combat weapons, right?
Just anything that just does damage.
18 attacks. You have a good chance of getting at least 10 there to killing 10 orcs. So next turn you'll get another 18 attacks. If you kill that, then you'll get 21 attacks, etc., etc., and then you can use those like to start powering like your Power Fist or your Reaper Chainsword against characters, as well as stomping other stuff out. So that's really nasty. And those screens aren't going to last long against something with this. The Vow of Dominance is a really great defensive vow, and so that one means that you can never be wounded on better than a 4+. 1s, 2s, and 3s always fail, regardless of what they are.
I kind of like that.
It's great.
I mean, it's BS, but I really like it. I really like it. You know what I mean? Like you slap that on your big dominance class bad guy.
Sure.
And just sit
or
back
your
there.
Tyrant or whatever
tyrant,
else. Yeah.
And you just take it. Just sit there and like, go ahead. What do you get? How much you got? What's that strength? Oh, you used calls. Your guy shot at me. Well.
Yeah, whatever, loser. Let me show you how this is. Yeah.
And then I use this to get +1, so I'm wounding you on 2s. All right, or 4s.
Yeah, just 4s.
This.
I don't care what you rolled. If you rolled a 1, 2, or 3 to wound, you're not wounding me.
Yep.
So, and then the final one is probably the most versatile stratagem, I think, or vow in all of these, and I think it'll probably be one that gets used the most, which is Vow of the Beast Slayer. And that means if you ever target a unit with a wounds characteristic of 8 or more, you get to reroll 1s to wound, which is huge. That's very, very powerful.
Neat.
So that could be
goodbye, Bobby G, I guess.
Sure, or any tanks, or
not my tanks.
Yeah,
I just got those.
Sucker repulsors
and repulsor executioners.
Yeah, you're gonna die. All right. Now let's move on to the Infernal Household ones. Man, these guys have some really great ones. So you've got Bind the Souls of the Defeated. So you know how you're spending your wounds to get these benefits, right?
Yep.
Well, it's time to get some of those wounds back, Dave.
Dude, I love this strategy so much.
Spend 2 CP, count up how many models you kill at the end of a close combat phase, and you roll a d6. For every 4+, you get a wound back to a maximum of 6 wounds back in one combat phase.
So good.
Which is super powerful. That's going to be so helpful for keeping your knight alive, or combos up very well with this next stratagem, which is Pact with the Dark Gods. So this one more or less replicates the House Tyrannus special stratagem, the Zombie Knight.
Yeah, the Zombie Knight.
So you come back on a 4+ at the end of the phase. That means they can't touch you with other attacks. You get to free out of combat, and yeah, so good. And then after that, you charge back into them, pop the other stratagem, and then get some of your wounds back.
Neat.
Yeah, fun. They also have demonic ammunition, which is kind of like the Cognis Stubber or the Iron Hail Stubber upgrades that the other knights get in the Knights book. So it basically makes all your Stubbers strength 5.
Okay.
Which is decent. Yeah, that's fine.
It doesn't suck. It's good for clearing some chaff out of the way.
Heck yeah.
So you can get in there and just start carving them up.
Right. Yeah, strength 5 is better than nothing. And then finally they have Diabolic Rift, which screws with enemy psychers. So this means that that any psyker within 12 inches of any Infernal Household Knights perils on any doubles instead of just double 6s or double 1s. So it doesn't matter. So it affects your entire army, which is pretty good for 2 CP, I think.
Well, it's only 12 inches, so you've already got to be on top of the.
Sure, but if you've got them surrounded, or they can't get any further, they have to be within that range to do something important. It's very good.
I see it as being very situational, not nearly as versatile as if it was 3 CP and 24 inches, or you know what I mean?
Well, sure, but yeah, I mean they can't put a range like that on it because that would be.
I mean, they make the rules. They could do whatever they wanted, you know.
Fair.
I mean, this may as well be 3 CP and cancel your opponent's stratagem he's getting ready to play.
All right, so the next page that we have on here is the Dreadblade Pacts and Damnations. So you can use all of these stratagems, based on whether you're Infernal or Iconoclast. In addition, if you want to, before the game starts or in your army list, you can declare that your model is also a Dreadblade. So if you want to have a Dreadblade, each model, you first choose one pact from the table below, or roll 2d6 and generate 2 randomly.
I mean, it's the same basic principle as the free blades. So you've got, the same thing as you got going on there. I really like the idea of this for a standalone knight.
Sure.
I feel like if you've got just a bunch of them, though, you're better off going with one of the actual houses because the stratagems are better,
Well, Dave, if you're you mean if you're a free blade?
Yeah, if you're fielding more than just one of these knights, like if you're a Dreadblade solo with somebody's army, with an army you're joining up with your Cornate buddies to go rampaging across the galaxy, and you're playing this list, I feel like a Dreadblade would be okay with one. But if you're running like a single super heavy Titanic Knight and then 2 War Dogs, you're better off with going with one of the houses.
Oh, well, that's an interesting story, Dave, because you still, like I said before, you still get to maintain your Infernal or Iconoclast household and be a Dreadblade.
What?
Yeah, so you get both things, which is great. I think that's a really cool rule, and I think that they should continue to make that for these guys. So the penalties, the packs are pretty good. I really like the one that lets you reroll to hit rolls against characters or Titanic units. I think that's pretty solid, especially if you have something like a Tyrant Knight with the missiles, so you get to reroll to hit rolls with the missiles automatically, which is nice against characters.
I hate that so much.
Yeah.
GW, you shouldn't have.
Also, let's see here. What's the other one I really like? Galvanized Hull is really good, and that's the one that allows you to ignore -1 AP. It turns it into AP 0, which is really cool. Let's see here. Archfiend is pretty good. That lets you heroically intervene 6 inches, which is pretty nice. There's other ones here. You got Knower of Profane Secrets, which gives you an extra command point and gives +1 leadership. You've got Path to Glory. Thunderous Charge, which lets you do mortal wounds on a 4+ when you charge units. And then you have Demonic Vigor, which gives you random bonuses to your model's stats, which is cool. And that's probably pretty decent too.
I kind of like that one.
Yeah. For the Damnation, the Damnations though are very harsh. So the Forsaken Damnation, let's see here. You can't affect them with any stratagems from the book. Any stratagems at all, I'm sorry. Which is pretty harsh. You can't even use command reroll.
That's nothing. 0.
And then you have Warp Rage, which means you can't fall back in your ballistic skills 6+. So that's probably okay for like an Iconoclast Knight with the Vow of Carnage, where you don't care that much. But Knights being able to fall back over infantry is one of the most powerful abilities that they have to get them in the right place. It's almost like they have fly in that respect. So losing that is kind of harsh.
Yeah, just kind of very animalistic charging Knight. Just get
sure.
It. Because you don't have to roll for these. You can pick them, right? You could pick your path one way and your Damnation.
So if you can either pick 2 or D6 1.
Interesting. So, like, you could take, as a Dreadblade, you could take 2 and 2. If you
wanted to do 2 and 2, you could do 2d6 to get random ones for the packs, and then do 1d6 for a random one or you can pick one and have to choose 2.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, so some of the other ones here, you've got Volatile Reactor. Every time you roll a d6, every time you take, and at the end of each phase where you take damage on a 4+, you take an extra point. That one's probably not so bad.
I mean, it could be.
Sure, it could be. Warp Fugue is another one that's not super bad, and that's while this Damnation applies, this model always fights last in the fight phase.
I don't know. I don't like that.
So,
I mean, it's probably not bad on a shooting Knight.
Sorry, one thing I forgot to mention too. You can kind of ignore these. If any Dreadblades from your army have any Damnations, roll 2d6 for each of them at the start of each of your turns, subtracting 1 from the result if they have the Forsaken Damnation. If the result is less than the Dreadblade's leadership characteristic, their Damnations do not apply this turn. Otherwise, the Damnation applies until the start of their next turn. So you can avoid some of these.
Okay.
You just have to be judicious with. Some of these with your rolls, and maybe spending some CP to make sure that you make the roll so that they don't gain 1.
Unless
Unless it doesn't matter.
Unless you can't affect them with stratagems. So, right? Or spending the CP to up the actual roll itself.
Sure, and you get an extra -1 if you do have Forsaken. So that kind of helps to mitigate you not being able to spend a CP reroll.
Helps to keep you under. Got it.
And then you have Warp View, which means you fight last, which is not super bad, depending on if it's like a shooting knight or something like that. That probably doesn't.
It sucks on a close combat knight, but it's pretty good.
For sure.
It's not that bad on a shooting knight.
Single-minded hatred means you have to shoot the closest target.
Again, also not that bad on a close combat knight.
And you also have to charge the closest target to you, which is also not that bad.
Yeah, that's pretty good for a close combat knight.
Normally, war on a shooting knight, like, whatever. On a shooting knight, it does suck, though.
Yeah, that sucks.
Defiant Machine Spirit. When this animation applies, when an advance roll or charge roll is made from the model, subtract 1 and subtract 1 from attacks hit.
Pass.
Which hurts. That hurts.
Pass.
But with Knights having like a pretty decent leadership, you've got 9 on both of these chassis. I think they're 9s across the board.
Except for the Helverins, right?
Except for the Helverins.
Or, I'm sorry, the War Dogs.
The War Dogs, which are 8.
Yeah. Do.
And you can make your War Dogs also. You can also make them Dreadblades if you like.
That's good. I was hoping that the War Dogs could be even better than Ragerts to start with. So that's perfect.
Yeah, I really like the Infernal War Dogs. I think that they're like, man, there's some such cool combos. We can talk about some of the combos towards the end.
Oh, and we will.
Oh yeah. So let's go over the artifacts. So there's 14 different artifacts in this, which is awesome. I'm so happy about that. And there's
so many, yeah.
And they're really flavorful too, which I also really enjoy.
Oh yeah.
So you have Blasphemous Engine, which is it's just the Inferno only relic, and what that lets you do is it gives you the House Hawkshroud benefit, which means you double the number of wounds that you have left to determine what your damage track is.
And I love that.
Yeah, that's really great. That keeps
I
your
love
knight.
House Hawkshroud. So.
And the other thing to think about too is this is the only damage mitigation effect in the entire book. So there's no other way to operate past what your actual wounds taken are. So it's not like the Mechanicum houses in the Imperial Knights book, where they can spend 1 CP and operate as full.
At full for a turn.
But this is like, if you're hurt, you're hurt, regardless.
Well, then you just
you just gotta suck it up, baby.
Pop that stratagem, and oh wait, that's for the other class.
No, you just gotta do rerolls to hit, man.
Yeah,
that's the way to go. That's the that's the Chaos Knight operative full is 2 CP to reroll all misses.
Oh, did I miss? My bad. Here, hold on.
Let me try that again. So then they have the Veil of Medringard. Medringard, of course, is the Iron Warriors' like home planet, and it's a more powerful field. This is exactly the same as the improved Ion Shield that they get. God, what is it? Ion Bulwark, which is the name of that Warlord trait that Imperial Knights get. So you get a 4-up save against range attacks all the time. So it's really good. And keep in mind, neither of these can be taken by Dreadblade, because Dreadblades have their own special relic.
Right.
The Cornet Target is really good.
I love this so much.
So cool. So basically, when you use it, you pick at the start of the fight phase, you pick the knight that has it, and he can choose to use it once per game. And during that combat, you don't have to use, your opponent can't use any invulnerable saves, and you can't use any invulnerable saves.
It's so nice.
It's really good.
So nice.
Really good.
It's just ugh.
It's super powerful. And then you have, and so this kind of there's also a theme here where each of the different Chaos Gods has its own unique relic. Since Chaos Knights don't have marks of chaos, they only have these relics to denote if they're like serving a particular god. And this doesn't give them like the Tzeentch or Khorne keyword, so it's not like you can take them in like a Supreme Command attachment that's Tzeentch or Khorne or something like that.
The Tzeentchian Pyrothrone.
Yeah, the Tzeentchian Pyrothrone, such a weird relic, but so cool.
So cool.
So it makes your knight into a Psyker that knows Smite.
That's it.
That's it. And when they die, you don't have to roll for an explode. They always explode.
Yep.
And so this is a cool relic for a couple of different reasons. Number one, it's Tzeentch, so it's awesome.
Yep.
But number two, it gives you some psychic defense that you don't have to stick in front of your knight.
Right.
So, like, if you need to deny that critical doom or something like that, you have a chance to do that without sticking some kind of, like, psyker in front of your knight or blocking their path or something like that, which is awesome.
Yeah. You can just take, a whole house of knights, a whole entire knight army, and have your deny right there.
And there's another deny that you can get, too, in the warlord traits, which we'll go over, which is cool. So, that, and it says right here, if you have that trait, you get to deny 2 powers.
Plus, I just like the idea of a knight casting smite.
Heck yeah.
Like your opponent's like, oh, you don't have any psychers, all knights. Yeah. Hey, psychic phase, smite time.
Hey, psych.
Joke's on you, Skippy.
Yeah. So the next relic is probably the most powerful relic in here, I think, which is the Helm of Warpsight. So you can only use this on a Rampager, Desecrator, or Despoiler class. So no Knight's Tyrant, so no Castellan with this, which is probably pretty fair. What this does is it lets you ignore any to-hit penalties for ranged weapons that you have. So
I mean, that's pretty powerful.
That's incredibly powerful. So Eldar Flyers, whatever, man. I got two Gatling cannons. Time to go to town on those bitches. So what I like this for.
Where's the jump pack relic so I get my close combat knight with the block keyword in on there?
To like charge flyers. That would be the best.
Just flyer flying around, just enjoying his day. All of a sudden, this knight comes skipping through the air at him. Just big old jet trail right behind him.
Right.
Blades spinning.
Awesome. So a really great relic. Highly recommend this one on a double Gatling Knight or battle cannon / Gatling Knight, like a Crusader.
I think you're definitely going to see this in competitive play for sure.
Yeah, that's like I would say this is the tournament list pick, like probably the best relic in the entire book.
Yeah.
Now the what is that? The Diamondus.
Diamonus.
Diamonus. Thank you. So what this is the
good at
relic
reading upside down.
Yeah, right. This is the relic laser destructor, and it is so much of a buff over the normal laser destructor. So it keeps the 60-inch range. Instead of heavy D3, it's flat 3 shots, so it gets max shots every single time. And instead of strength 14, it's strength 16, which means it wounds toughness 8 targets on 2s. And it still has if you roll a 6, you get an extra D3 mortal wounds on top of it.
So this is effectively the same thing as Calls, but better.
No, it's not Call's Wrath. Call's Wrath is much better than this, but and that's okay because this goes on the Knight Desecrator. So
it's not one of the Tyrant Knights.
No.
Oh shoot, that's even better. Yeah.
So
okay.
yeah, so it's a really good upgrade for them. If you're going to take that guy, it's a good choice for him, I would say. You've got the Tyrant's Banner, which is only for Rampagers, Desecrators, and Despoilers, and so this gives you +1 leadership for Chaos units. Within 6 inches of him.
For being able to keep those cultists alive as you charge across the field.
And at the start of every one of your turns, you roll a dice, and on the 5+, you get an extra command point. So you got some CP regen, which normal knights don't have, which is pretty cool.
Well, just gen, actually, rather than regen, because you could start off with squad.
Sure. And you just get one.
And just get it.
Yep. Then they have the Teeth at Hunger. And this relic is a solid close combat upgrade for any knight with a Reaper Chainsword. So this one is similar to Foe Cleaver from the Knight's book. So it's +8 strength instead of +6 for Reaper Chainsword. Ugh. So it's strength 16, so you're winning that stuff on 2s. It has the -4 AP, which is 1 AP better. And you get to make an extra attack with it.
And a flat 6 damage.
Oh yeah,
I love flat 6.
Yeah, just like the Reaper Chainsword. At the end of a battle round which no enemy models were destroyed as a result of an attack made by this weapon, roll a d6. On a 1, you take a mortal wound. So basically, if you're not in combat, it's like, hey, dude, come on, let's get in there, maybe.
Well, it says win the bear fight, or let's see, at the end of a battle round, which no enemy. Oh, so yeah, so if you don't get there, you're going to take damage, but
maybe
on
a 1.
So if I don't get there, I'm going to take damage.
So Dave is going to take damage every time.
Yeah. Somehow it'll be like I'll get 2 damage.
But a great relic, +1 attack is nice. It also, since you get that +1 attack with this weapon. You get to make, like, if you want to Thunderstomp or get all your kicks in with your with the brutal kicks the knight has, you still get to try and make 1 attack with the sword for free. Yeah. Which is cool. All right, then you have the Room of Natagra. And so this is a Dreadblade only relic, and this gives you a 5+ invulnerable save. And this model gains 1 additional Dreadblade Pact, and a Damnation of your choice. Which is super cool, I think.
So, I like this because this relic is a 5+ invuln versus ranged and melee.
Oh, yeah. Hey, one thing I wanted to mention. So in the other Knights book, you can use rotate ion shields against close combat attacks. But in this book, they specified rotate ion shields is only made against attacks with ranged weapons. So I foresee some changes to coming to Knight players who are using rotate ion shields in close combat.
Suck on that, Wayne Brady's.
So no more 4-up invols in close combat, which is fine.
I don't think they should have an invul in close combat that good anyway. I mean,
4+ is okay.
I mean, you're getting these guys, depending on what's fighting you, I could see, dude, if you got a bunch of Imperial Guards scrambling your legs, your invul save ain't gonna mean shit, alright?
Even if you have, like, an energy field, Dave? Come on, man. I have a force field.
Yeah.
Your bayonets don't beat my force field. Anyway.
Johnny the Lone Guardsman begs to differ.
Yeah, probably. That's how my knights have died, sadly, many a time. So the Putrid Carapace of Nurgle is the Nurgle-specific relic. And this one is the same, more or less, as the separating plate that the Death Guard get. So anytime you make a successful armor save in close combat, you roll a dice, and on a 4-up, you do a mortal wound back to the unit.
Oh, nice.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, it is.
Then you have, let's see here.
The Bound Viridian Psychogeist.
So what this does is anytime...
Let me help you with that.
Yeah.
Because it's all the way over here and hard to read.
Yeah, I was trying to remember exactly what the name of it is. Basically what that one does...
That's the best name of all the relics we've seen so far. I'm sorry.
You're wrong, dude. Zinchian Pyrethrone is the coolest.
Oh, no way, dude. The Viridian Psychogeist. All right, I'm sorry.
And so what that does is anytime you roll a 6 to wound, your AP goes down by 1. Which is pretty cool. And that's with ranged weapons only, I believe, right?
Yes, ranged weapons. An unmodified 6.
All right, then you got Trader's Mark, which is the relic from the index that they had that reduces leadership within 12 inches, or by 2 if you're within 6 inches. Then you've got the Quicksilver Throne of Slaanesh, which is really cool. This gives you +1 to run and charge, or advance and charge. And then you also fight first in the fight phase. So if your opponent, so you can alternate with charging units, which is great.
I
last
do love fighting first.
Oh yeah, hey, who doesn't?
God, that's so Slaanesh too.
Oh, it's super Slaanesh-y. Well, that's the same as Quicksilver Swiftness that normal
that's
Slaanesh
what I'm saying.
get.
Is that it's so that is the perfect Slaanesh relic.
Oh yeah.
If you modeled up your knight with boobs and everything else that you've got to do to
like a bunch of lasher tendrils and stuff.
Yeah, just cut apart one of the new fiends of Slaanesh and just turned it into a knight basically.
Sure. That's pretty rad.
Yeah.
All right, then you've got the Gauntlet of Ascension. I'm sorry. So the Gauntlet of Ascension is a relic Thunderstrike Gauntlet. Man, is it good. So no minus to hit. It has the same stats otherwise, so ×2, -4, 6 flat damage. And
I love seeing 6 flat damage on anything.
Well, Dave, welcome to Knights. So, and in addition, you get to reroll to hit and to wound rolls.
That's pretty good.
That's so good. Because, yeah, I don't really care about rolling ones anymore. Because I'm going to hit with 97% accuracy and wound with 97% accuracy. So, which is so good.
Plus the destroying of a character to get an extra +1 strength.
Right, every time you kill a character, +1 strength, +1 attack. Hell yeah. So what a great relic.
Dude, so nice.
Yeah.
Super fluffy and fun.
All right. And then the final section that we have here is the Warlord traits. So the Warlord traits were probably the part of the book that I was... Because the normal Knight Warlord traits are really freaking cool. And these are pretty thematic. I don't know that these are particularly good. I don't know how much you're going to take the Tyrannical Court option to add some of these. And I'm sorry, when I say good, I mean for competitive play. Obviously, these are really fun to take, and you should So
if you're running all Knights, you get one automatically, right? You don't have to take the court in order to get a
right.
One model has to be a character.
If your Knight is your Warlord, you get one.
Right. So if you're running all Knights, one of your Knights will definitely be a Warlord. But
sure. But that's the caveat. So even if you're not running all Knights, you can make your Knight your Warlord and get a free one.
Right.
So, I like Infernal Quest is good. That basically gives you objective secured, you count as 10 models.
You count as 10. It's very isn't it just like the Crimson Fist generic trait though? Where if or no, I'm sorry, the Crimson.
There's
Fist,
a relic for that, I think, or something.
Yeah, or well, because there's a Dreadnought thing where they count as 5. Isn't it one of the?
I thought that was for the outnumber, Dave.
Is it?
Yeah, the normal knights have a relic that does this. This is one of their banners, which is still good. I mean, it's fine.
I mean, it's okay, and I mean, but let's be honest.
It can win
how
you
often
some
are you
games.
having your warlord standing around a relic where he counts as 10?
If you have like a Knight Castellan or something like that stand in the backfield, that way they can't take their objective from you with non-troop choices.
Yeah, maybe.
Which is not bad.
Yeah.
Then you've got Harbinger of Scrap Code, which at the end of your movement phases roll a d6 for each enemy vehicle within 6. On a 4-up, the unit takes 1 mortal wound.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, it's cool.
You know,
and I like the idea of
it's not
Scrap
great,
Code. No.
But, you know.
Knight Diabolus is pretty good. It gives you +1 attack to your Warlord, which is good. That'll get you 3 extra stomps, or it'll get you an extra Reaper Chainsword attack for that sweet 6 damage. You've got Warp Haunted Hull. This one's decent at least. It gives you 1 deny, and it gives you a 5+ Feel No Pain against psychic powers.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, so they can't smite you to death automatically, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, if you're playing in a competitive setting, they already know you've got that because they've seen it. They know what your relics are. They know what your warlord is. So they're not trying to smite that anyway.
Yeah, but they may not have a choice if you're sticking it right up in their grill.
Stuck it right up in your mom's grill.
Ouch. Dave, cold-blooded, man. All right,
I wanted to get to a warp haunted hull. What can I say?
Gross. All right, so Eager for the Kill. This gives you +1 to advance and charge, and if you're wholly within your opponent's deployment zone, you also get +1 attack. This is probably the best one out of all of them, I think.
Yeah.
Especially for if you're going to run a close combat knight, this is a great choice for it.
Yeah, and I can already tell you I'm going to run a close combat knight because I just love the idea of all of the different stuff that allows me that I can take to buff my dude and get bigger and badder and stronger, and once I get in there I can die. Just kidding, lol, back on my feet. Here, let's reap some souls, and I'm back at full strength again. And
so this is kind of cool for a knight that you're going to get in your opponent's face, especially like an Infernal Knight, where you can give him the +2 inches to movement and then +1 to advance and charge rolls, right? Then you can also give him the relic, the Slanesh relic, for another +1 to advance and charge rolls.
No.
And then you can give him this for another +1 to advance and charge rolls. So you can get +3 to advance, +3 to charge, and you could use full tilt if you wanted to, and advance and charge. So you would be like whatever your movement +2, plus a d6 +3, plus 2d6 +3. So you can really get across the table pretty quickly into your opponent's lines with that.
They move what? 10 knights move 10 inches?
Normal knights are 12.
12 inches.
Yeah.
So you got 12, so you're 15 inches. So you advance with another d6.
Well, no, you're 14 inches because it's +2 inches to your movement.
Oh, I thought we had added +3.
To advance and charge.
Oh, okay, right. So
then if you advanced, you're another d6 +3 onto the 14. So that's like an average of another 6.5 inches. So, which is, that's a great number.
That's like Wolfen speed in tournament level.
So that's what, 20.5 inches, and then you get to assault afterwards?
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah. And then you've got Aura of Terror. Aura of Terror is probably my second favorite one. And the secondary effect where you make people roll an extra d6 for leadership and then drop the lowest is cool. But the really cool one is -1 to charges, because that just affects so many units negatively, especially units that come in from Deep Strike. You can kind of almost use your knight as a screen.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
Anything that slows charges down is always good.
Absolutely.
Whether it's a -2 or -1, anything like that is great.
Sure.
I like it.
Let's talk points, Dave.
All right.
So, the points of the knight haven't changed much. There are some changes that are important.
Okay.
So, the Knight Tyrant can either be set up in the Castellan or the Valiant upgrades,
Configuration.
Right. Thank you. Configuration. So they're 500 points flat. Now, normally what they did is they did change the price of the Shieldbreaker missiles. So the Shieldbreaker missiles, instead of I think being 12 points apiece, are now 15 points apiece.
Yep, 15.
So that means that a normal knight, the Valiant style is going to be 600 points flat. The Knight Castellan is going to be 710 points flat.
Instead of just a
Instead of
706, right?
I think
704.
Yeah, I think they were right around there. And the Knight Valiant was just under 600 points
Just
before.
better in general.
Well, he's pretty cool. We'll talk about him in a minute. He's my favorite model from this book. And then the other thing that they did that was kind of interesting was if you take the Knight Despoiler, which is the standard chassis, that's 285. That hasn't changed. However, if you just take him with the Reaper Chainsword and Thunderstrike Gauntlets, and this doesn't include his melee weapons, he went up 20 points. So if you just take him with those options, he's an additional 20 points, and that's for the +1 strength, +1 attack, +1 weapon skill, which means that same build for Chaos is 20 points more expensive than Imperials. I would expect that Imperials would probably get a similar points hike, maybe when Chapter Approved comes around.
For the Gallant. For the Gallant itself, or I assume we're talking about the Gallant. That's the one that's
exactly.
Fisty Swordy Knight.
Yeah, because he's 285 base with the additional stuff, and this guy is 305 base with additional weapons. So he's going to be 272 when he's fully equipped, and then whereas the Knight Gallant is 352.
Okay.
So for an additional 15 points, you can upgrade your Knight Despoiler to the Knight Rampager, which I think is a great deal. I would almost always do that.
Yeah.
I think. For me, I think that's worth 15 points to potentially get some extra chainsword attacks.
Wholeheartedly agree.
On what matters. And that'll let you split up your attacks a little bit better, too.
Yeah.
And just assures that whatever you're attacking is most likely going to die. So...
Plus you can give him all sorts of fanciness.
Sure.
Just make him wreck face.
He's cool. Unless you want a carapace weapon. So basically that's the difference. So if you don't care about a carapace weapon, like, you don't want the indirect fire rocket launcher or something like that on your Knight Gallant, you can do that.
I mean, if I'm building this guy out, I don't want that. Because I'm going to want this guy to be just a Madden crazed across the field. And having him have a rocket pod on top kind of feels like it defeats the purpose unless I'm rolling like a D whatever how many units your opponent has and just that's what he shoots.
Sure.
Fires randomly, which I could see myself doing, but that would probably cost me a bunch of tournament games. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, probably maybe not.
Imagine how fun that would be, though.
It would be really fun. I can't argue that, Dave. That's pretty hard to argue. All right. So some of the combos that I wanted to talk about. A lot of these revolve around the Infernal House's ability to change the strength and damage structure of weapons. I think that's probably one of the most powerful Codex abilities that these guys have.
Okay.
There's so many different weapons in this book that really get so much better with just adding +1 strength and +1 damage. Like for instance, even an Armiger, or War Dog with an autocannon. You can choose one of his autocannons to get the buff, right?
Yeah.
So then one of his autocannons becomes 2d3 shots at strength 8 with -1 and 4 flat damage.
That's pretty good. Now, what is that one under again? Was that the stratagem?
So no, that's not a stratagem. That's just an ability that the Infernal Houses get. So that is, and we'll go back to that really quick here. The Infernal Household Ambition for the Demonic Surge.
Yeah,
that's such a cool ability.
It's so good. Yeah.
In addition to that, another thing that you can do as well is you can, on the Knight Tyrant with the Conflagration Cannon, getting that Conflagration Cannon with +1 strength and +1 damage turns it to strength 8. So it's strength 8 -2 with 3 flat damage on 3d6 auto hits is really good.
So good.
That's really nasty. So there's that. That's pretty cool. You can do the other thing I like is kind of like a just all in your face list. That's just like it's in your opponent's face on turn 1. You could take like 6 War Dogs that are close combat ones. Give them all the +2 inches of movement. So that makes them movement 16.
Whew.
And then they get +1 to their charge rolls. Right, so if your opponent is on the line and you're moving 16 inches, you're going to be 8 inches outside of their deployment zone, and you're going to get +1 to charge. So you're going to be.
So you just need an 8-inch charge.
No, probably a 7. Because you'll be 8 inches away, but you get +1 to your roll, so you need to roll a 7 or more, which is great. That's really fast.
Yeah, just imagine just a horde of dust as your opponent's sitting and your war dogs are right up in your face.
What just happened?
Get ready, they're coming.
Sure.
Shit, they're here.
Or you can do iconoclasts with a similar thing, where you're maybe not moving quite as fast, but man, when they hit so much harder. +1 attack is so big. Like that can make all the difference in the world when you're getting like full rerolls from the I like to call that stratagem that they get. What's it called? Like line breaker or something like that. Yeah, break the enemy line. I like to call that dog pile.
Dog pile?
Yeah. So you just get in there, you reroll all to hit rolls against that unit, and just mash it up. Like imagine like one of the most common, most powerful screens in the game right now are plague bearers, right?
Yeah, I mean they were.
Well, I think that these knights eat that up no problem because you put the cornate target on it, you get that knight in there, turn off their invul saves, right?
Well,
and then you
hold on now. They don't have plague bearers don't have an invul save, right?
Yeah, they do.
Do they? Oh, well,
They're demons.
But don't they? I thought they didn't have an invul save. I thought they had a feel no pain at the end.
Or you're thinking of poxwalkers, maybe.
Okay.
Plague bearers have a feel no pain and an invulnerable save.
Well, they're not good. It's dumb.
So that would be a great way to mince up that screen and leave nothing left.
Yeah, it would. I really like the ability to turn off an invul save.
Oh my god!
Even though it's
so
gonna
powerful.
crush my Bobby G so hard. It's dude, it's so good. I like it. Danny, you had a little bit more time with this book than I did. Have you come up with anything that is like a good, solid, like what you think could be a very competitive potential list, combining anything from the current range of Chaos and also these Knights at all?
So I'm going to start running a list pretty soon. I think that's going to involve some Chaos Knights. I'm going to be taking, to start off with, like my main largest attachment, I'm going to take a Knight Tyrant with Conflagration Cannon and Harpoon Launcher.
So
a Valiant.
A Valiant?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'm going to take two Armiger, or two War Dogs.
Two War Dogs.
With the Chain Glaives and the Melta gun. And then I'm going to take... and then I'm going to take a Supreme Command of Flawless Host. So I'm going to run 3 Lord Discordants from that, which is pretty great.
So 3 Slanish Lord Discordants for the speedy slaughteriness.
Yeah, which are also extremely fast.
You know, I've heard on the internet that they're not very good.
Well, you're wrong.
I believe the internet told me that they were terrible.
Oh, Dave, you can't listen to the internet, man.
All right. Well, thank God.
Yeah.
Because they say some mean shit to me.
It's mostly deserved. And then run. I'm flip flopping between some couple different battalions, but the one I want to try first, I want to try a Slanesh Demons battalion, so that I can get advance and charge locus on my characters, so I can affect the Lord Discordant, so they can all advance and charge behind like my epitome, and then run so I can get all 4 of those guys with movement 14. Plus another d6 for advancing, plus charging that turn, which is really powerful.
And then you're just cruising up the table.
Yeah, and just like get in their face, flamer a bunch of stuff. I can make the Helverins all tougher or the Armiger or the War Dogs tougher by like increasing their toughness if I don't think they're going to make it, or if my opponent has Strength 8 or Strength 9 weapons, I can kind of just make them a little bit harder to kill, and also the Knight. Yeah, but I just think that there's a lot of play there.
I definitely think that most Chaos players are going to start going to seriously look at this as an addition, because these came out really good. I mean, they were decent before and fun.
Sure.
But I really like what they've done here with this.
Sure.
Like even more than I like regular.
Well, just adding that Infernal Knight with the Infernal Knight's what is it? The Desolator?
The Desecrator or the Despoiler or the
Despoiler. Sorry, the Despoiler. With the dual chain guns, which was already a great choice.
Yeah.
Right. Just adding that to your list and then giving him the helmet that lets him reroll to hit penalties.
Yeah.
Makes a fantastic fire base for your army, and it's a little CP intensive in that he takes 2 CP a turn if you want to reroll all misses. You don't have to though, especially if he's already getting to ignore all hit penalties. He's going to do a ton of damage, and then you can pop the Infernal ability to make one of his chain guns strength 7 and damage 3, and that guy will just eat Eldar flyers for breakfast.
Take that, Alex.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that kind of concludes our review of the Codex Knight book.
I mean, I wish it didn't, but I mean, There's so much good shit in this book, and I have sworn a lot in this, and I don't normally swear in our little reviews, but I feel like I'm getting just absolutely and utterly, swamped with a desire to build one of these and run it.
Oh man, it's going to be so fun.
2 or 3 or 10,
Right.
But I've got to buy my executioners first so I can shoot these things when they show up on the table.
Fair enough, Dave. Fair enough.
Yeah, no, I like it a lot. I like this book a lot. It has a lot of it has a lot of good combos that I think we're going to keep seeing, and I can't wait to see what some of the more competitive than me side of play style comes up with. Like somebody's going to be like, "Oh, did you miss this combo here where you take this helm and these dildo penis attachments and stuff, and he just charges across the field. He's got 42 strength of billion attacks." And I'm just like, no, I didn't see that. I missed it. Wow. And then until it shows up on the table against me at Midnight Sun GT because somebody brings it up from the lower 48. And I'm just like, well, I hope I go first.
It's going to be real sad.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to be.
Ooh. I'm spent now.
Yeah, same.
All right.
It's a big little codex.
Yeah, it really is. Anyway, I've been Dave.
And this has been Danny. If you like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel or hit us up on Facebook.
Yep.
In addition, you can also subscribe to our podcast, which is bi-weekly, Mob Rules, where you get to hear us make a bunch of crude jokes and talk about Warhammer for a couple hours.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it.
It's a good time.
Yep. And, if you want to support the channel, we by no means need it. Really. We've got a Patreon if you like it and you want to throw $1 our way, something like that. There's no tiers, there's nothing fancy, it's just there in case people want to support us. So
yep.
We do this for fun because we like it.
Yep.
Not for profit.
That's right.
The dream.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys have a great day.